Welcome to the Mint City Soccer Show. I am your host, Matt Swift. Yes, they left me alone again. I'm sorry. But it's a busy week for everyone. Corey and David have, they have some things going on tonight. I'm recording on a Monday night. We typically record Tuesday, but we have Leagues Cup action kicking off. So here I go again on my own. And since no one is here to really stop me, I'm going to do things a little differently. I'm going to start with listener questions since they basically ask what I was going to naturally cover anyway. And there is one question by my good friend Paul Hagan you certainly want to stick around for because as I was doing the math, I became deeply alarmed. But let's go ahead and get right into these questions. The first one is from Thomas Hughes, and he asks, is this just an extended break for Tim Ream post-World Cup, or are we seeing Kessler eased into that starting center back role alongside Morrison for the future? And is Tim Ream wrapping up the end of his playing career? So I have some thoughts here for sure. I was kind of scratching my head that Tim was not in the lineup against Chicago. I was thinking the Chicago game was pretty important. If you ask me, Chicago is sitting in fourth. We were in sixth. Any types of points here would be highly beneficial. Chicago just got Lewandowski. One would think that you would want your main center back in the starting 11. And Tim wasn't even in the squad. And you can make an argument like, let's rest Tim Ream. He was in the World Cup. He was in the Skills Challenge. He was in the All-Star game. And I would counter with this. Tim Ream, while not the youngest person, he's not ancient. He's a professional soccer player. Yes, he was in the World Cup, but he was done July, what was the last game? July 6th or something? So it's not like, the U.S. had a deep run in the World Cup. I mean, he was done kind of early. Yes, he was in the Skills Challenge. That's not all that physically demanding. And he played 48 minutes in the All-Star game. Now, for me, you would play him against Chicago, against a world-class player. And then you rest him for Leagues Cup and let Kessler get some more minutes. Coach Dean Smith really liked how Kessler played in the previous match. That's all well and good. And I guess wanted to rest Tim Ream. That was a coaching decision from what I understand. I do not agree with it. Now, I will say this. Having Tim Ream out there does not mean that we would have gotten a draw or won this game. There were some other issues that I'll get into later that affected the outcome of the Chicago match. I'm just saying it's a decision, like a lot of decisions Dean is making, that make me scratch my head. And I feel like I'm scratching my head a lot on some of these decisions. And that was one that I'm like, oh, does Ream have a personal problem that we don't know about? Or is there maybe a slight knock that we don't know about? And come to find out, it was just a coaching decision. And one that I really don't understand. They have Lewandowski. You need someone with some type of experience to be able to mark him and help a young center back in Morrison. I don't know. Now, as far as the future, yes, Kessler needs to get some minutes. Kessler is very injury prone throughout his history. He's been injured a lot. Kessler has now made 2 MLS appearances in 6 months. And he's paid almost $500,000, which kind of rubs me the wrong way. But when Kessler plays, he's not bad at all. It's just that he, again, is injury prone. But to really kind of answer this question about, Tim Ream wrapping up his career, there's something to that. Tim is not young. He just got done playing a World Cup, probably his last World Cup, and his contract is up at the end of the season. So, yeah, we need to think about a replacement. I'm not sure there is an option in Tim's contract for 2027. It's the sprint season. So I don't know. I don't know what Tim is going to do. I don't know if the team wants to do a kind of a shorter term contract. A long term contract doesn't really make any sense, in my opinion. So yeah, we need a replacement. But I wanted to touch on this question first because that has to do with the starting lineup of Chicago. And again, just was scratching my head really. And again, I don't know if it would have affected the outcome of the game, but for me, if I'm playing a really good team with a world class striker, I would want arguably my best center back on the field. The next question comes from Eric Hill, and he asked, Matt Swift noted during his solo podcast episode, as well as previous pod episodes, that our defensive woes began with less than stellar play in the midfield and the inability to string multiple passes together. We have a midfield of Pep, who's an all-star, Westwood, who's an all-star, a rotation of Brandt, Gianni, and Luca, and a newly crowned king of passing Tim Ream at center back. With those players, why are we so bad in the middle? Is it solely on that third rotational midfielder position? Are Pep and Westwood not as good as we think that they are? Are they actually good but not good together? Is it tactics? What needs to change? Excellent, excellent question. So, in the first half of the Chicago game, now we had to move Pep out wide and put Luca basically at that number 10 spot. And I will say in the first half, we were moving the ball extremely, extremely well, better than I have seen us do in a very long time. We were moving off the ball well. We were getting Pep on the ball a lot more, and he was cutting inside a lot with Nathan Byrne overlapping. But we were able to play through the spine, which we haven't done a lot of, and getting ourselves in good pockets of space, getting the ball and turning. I thought Luca offensively, I'll say that there's a caveat there. Luca offensively, I thought played probably one of his better games. Gianni played well. Westwood played well. Pep looked really, really dangerous. He was not afraid to shoot. So there were lots of positives in that first half. Now, for this question, it's interesting because I've been thinking about this. Our typical midfield is Pep at that 10. You have Westwood and Gianni or Luca or whatever the case is. I do think, and we saw it in the second half specifically, and I think Dean touched on this in his press conference. I think sometime Westwood and whoever he is partnered with just don't understand each other and don't move well together. Somebody has to make the decision to stay more at home and play defense. We give up a lot of shots and goals at the top of that box, and we did in Chicago. We overextended ourselves in the second half where all three of our center midfielders were pushed up too far, and there's just no either communication or understanding of who's doing what role. And I think that's been kind of a problem with whoever is paired with Westwood. You know, Pep at that number 10 is not going to give you a ton of defense, right? So the two behind there, one has to be kind of in front of that back line, especially if our fullbacks are going forward. Because if you have Nathan Byrne going forward, you basically only have three backs back there. Tofolo also loves to get forward. Sometimes I think forward too much. So if he's going forward too, you really only have the two in the back, you know, Ream and Morrison or Kessler and Morrison. You need to have somebody in the midfield kind of back there with them. But I think sometimes we just lose focus. In the second half of the Chicago game, I think we were really tired too. And just it really seemed like we were lethargic. I don't know, just out of shape. And again, just got caught out, up, pushed up too much. And I think it's a problem that I've seen all year long. Whoever is paired with Westwood, and whoever that person is needs to understand somebody's got to stay back. And again, if you have Luca, which Dean has been going with Luca paired with Westwood, Luca also doesn't give you any defense. Now, I said offensively, Luca was pretty solid in the first half. I think in the second half, he was bad. Not great offensively, and just defensively, he's just not going to get you anything. So if he's not going to play all that great defense, and Pep Biel not going to give you all that much defense, you have Abada out there, also not going to give you a lot of defense. Somebody's got to stay back. So Westwood needs to be smart enough if that's who's on the field with him to maybe stay back a little more. But I think that's why we're giving up a lot of shots. I think that's why we're giving up a lot of goals. Not to absolve our back line at all, because they definitely have their struggles and issues, but it doesn't help when the midfield is just constantly not communicating, out of shape, nobody's back, or we're trying to run back and everybody's out of shape. It just leads to a lot of problems. I think what we need to do as a organization is go out and get someone that can play the 6 and 8. Now, we've talked about Tim Ream maybe being done at the end of the season. Westwood might be done too. His contract is out. He has an option, but I don't know if he wants to continue after this season. So those are two roles that we desperately need to fill and fix. Pep at number 10 works great for me. One of our best signings ever. But those other two positions we really need a good grasp on, and I just think we struggle with that. We saw Gianni bombing forward in the Chicago game and looking great, but if he's bombing forward, Westwood has to stay back. It worked in the first half because we had a lot of energy and we were moving the ball well. And when you possess the ball and you're on the front foot, the other team can't come the other way. A lot of times we turn the ball over a lot and put our defense under pressure. But in the first half, we were doing a really good job of possessing the ball, making really good passes, that second and third and fourth and fifth pass instead of, two passes and we're dispossessed. So really, really great question. I could probably talk about this for a few hours, but I won't put you through that. But it's something that we really, I think, need to fix. And I think that's just us going out and getting a proper number 6 and number 8 that can play well and understand one another really, really well, of who's going forward, who's staying back. My buddy Matt Nolan asked, and it's not a Bada question, believe it or not, but he asked, why can Chicago get Lewandowski in so quickly while Maxi still isn't with us? Losing Vargas ASAP while not having ASM cost us against Chicago, and them having Lewandowski was the difference. Really, really good question. From what I understand, Maxi's visa was held up by the embassy. It wasn't anything that Maxi could do. It wasn't anything that the team could do. It was just really on the embassy. But I will say there is a little bit of a history of this organization not being able to get these visas done quickly. I look at Chicago, like Matt is asking here. I look at Miami. They were able to get their top players and world-class players in quickly. I know that free agents are a little quicker. I know like global stars have a tendency to go through a little quicker. So while I can give a little bit of grace because, it's just really on the embassy, there really is a question of why are we a little slower than other teams and how can we get better? I definitely want to extend an invite to anybody at the team to come on and maybe just explain that process so I can understand it better. I find it really fascinating, so I definitely want to learn and maybe just explain to the fans like why it takes so long and what situations may make it where it takes a little longer. I know different countries have different processes. I know depending on where that player has previously played and what countries they've been in are a factor. But to answer your question simply, Matt, I don't know. I really don't know. But I'm hoping Maxi could get in soon. It's like I said, it's Monday. Dean said that Maxi will be in tomorrow morning, Tuesday the 4th. We have the Leagues Cup Tuesday night. We have another game Friday, and then the third game is the following Tuesday. There was definitely some debate in the Mint City Discord earlier today about when Maxi could play and should play. I'm kind of the opinion that, well, he's definitely not going to play Tuesday night. The second game is a stretch for me. That's Friday. Maxi gets in, Tuesday morning. He could possibly train Wednesday and Thursday. The game is Friday. I don't think 2 days is enough for him to even remotely be ready, as he's been out and hasn't played in like over 2 months. The third game, I still think is a little bit of a stretch, and I don't know if I would play him and risk it. I guess you can have him on the bench. He is on the Leagues Cup roster that was entered by the team, so he is eligible to play. But I don't know if that's enough time. I don't know if I would risk it. We do have a very important game against Columbus coming up. Not this weekend, but next. So, and it's a home game. I think I would save him so he can get a home run out and debut. But that's just me. But Matt, yeah, I don't know. Really need to get some folks from Charlotte FC front office in here to just explain the visa process. But really good question. Keith has the next question. He asked, are we short a top of the table striker / center forward? Does that make our midfield struggle? Is that the next move if we move away from Abada? We have Toklamati. We have Archie. There hasn't been a ton of production from them. I do think there could be a lack of service. We've seen Toklamati thrive when he gets the ball in dangerous spots. I'm hoping with the addition of Maxi, Toklamati kind of has that dynamic he had with Zaha and Pep out on the field, where defenses are going to kind of gravitate towards them and leave space for Toklamati to make runs. But he's got to be smart to make those runs near post, back post, getting in good pockets of space to get a ball. But it also, too, I think we talked about this last episode maybe. He's got to be really good with his hold-up play, especially in transition. If the ball gets played upfield and he's the only one there, he's got to be able to get the ball, shield it, and hold it up to allow the rest of the team to get forward. So we're asking a lot of the kid, and I'm hoping, maybe I'm just being hopeful, that when Maxi gets here, we have some firepower that can help Toklamati get going offensively. So this next question is from Joe Garcia, and it's a really, really good question. I'm glad he asked it. He asked, why is it that Charlotte is rarely, if at all, associated with signing world-class players? Is it just because Charlotte isn't as exciting as other cities? Is it a GM issue? Is it something else? Excellent question. And I think we've touched on this before, and I think when Zorn was on, he touched on this too. We are not a major city, all things considered. We are not LA, we are not New York, we are not Miami. We were talking about this in the Mint City Discord earlier today too about this. People overseas, they don't know where Charlotte is, and I'm not trying to be mean. I'm from here, but most people don't know where Charlotte is. They don't understand. They hear about L.A., they hear about New York, and they're definitely hearing about Miami because David Beckham's the owner. Everybody knows him, and there's this little dude. He's pretty good. His name is Messi. Everybody knows him, right? So it's easy for players overseas to be like, oh yeah, when I go to America, that's where I want to play. That's where I go. That's the big cities. So we have that to deal with. I think what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to build a reputation of winning, of being good to players, like the Vargas situation. We could have tried to hold him hostage and force him to stay here. But when a player wants to grow, they want to leave, they want to go try to do something else. If we do right by players, players talk, agents talk, and word gets around. If you're good to people, that comes back. I think Dean Smith has been able to give us a little bit of clout too. I know there were some Scottish players that were interested in Charlotte and MLS in general because they were here during the World Cup. And I think we just need more exposure and we need to keep making the best moves as possible. I think Zaha was a really great signing. I think Maxi definitely will have people perk up. I think Tim Ream, like him or not, being the U.S. men's national team captain, being on this team was huge for us. But we're going to have to build it. I don't think we can just straight up buy it. We're just not those big markets. And MLS is built in a way where the playing field is a little more even. We've definitely talked about this before. Other leagues in the world, there's 2 or 3 teams every single year that's going to win it. They have the most money. It's the most popular teams. That's where everybody wants to go. Here in MLS, the rules are in place for good or ill to make things a little more even. But again, we're going to just year after year have to improve, do right by people, and make this a great place. We are already getting that reputation. We are getting the reputation of this being a very family-friendly place. Westwood has talked about it a lot. Zaha even mentioned it when he was here. Vargas, I saw him post something, I believe it was today or yesterday, really enjoyed his time here. And like I said, players, agents, they talk. Agents love to talk, and you really want them to be saying nice things about your organization that helps or could sway people. But yeah, to answer your question, Joe, it's a really great question. But I think that's what we're going to have to do. I think that's why we can't lure, Casemiro or someone like that. We're just going to have to do it the old-fashioned way and just build it, and they will come. Okay, this is the question that started giving me heart palpitations. So Paul Hagen asked, Matt Swift likes to say, let's wait and reevaluate until this road stretch, after this break, X, Y, and Z. And I do like to say that. But he goes on to say, now we're halfway through the season. We're done with the World Cup break. We're about to go into Leagues Cup. Starting the second half of the season, what do you think? Evaluate and predict. How was the first half? Where do we end up by the end of the season? Oh boy. So I started to look at some things. I looked at the first half. I looked at our remaining schedule. I looked at our points and then started to do the math. And that's where I started to really, really freak out. So let me first start with the first half of the season. Was the first half of the season horrible? No. But I want to direct your attention to something. We drew Miami at home. We lost to Nashville at home. We drew Cincinnati at home. We lost to NYCFC at home. We drew Atlanta at home. That is a lot of points dropped at home. I think more than what we had last season. That's a really major concern. I look at that NYCFC loss and I look at that Atlanta draw and I just shake my head. Drawing Miami, okay. Losing to Nashville, I don't know. Nashville's good. Miami's good. Drawing Cincinnati, okay. But that loss to NYCFC and the draw to Atlanta, that's 4 points. Just right there. And if you look at the standings, I'm pulling up now. So we're actually in 7th on 25 points. If we get those 4 points, we're tied for 4th. Now, Chicago has a game in hand, and so does New England, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. This is worrisome. But if you get those 4 points from those drop points, I mean, we're talking about 4th, tied for 4th, right? But now we're in 7th. We're actually tied on points with Red Bull, who's in 8th, and only DC United are only 2 points back from 9th. So we're not really sitting in a very good spot. And I look at those games, and at first when I was going to answer this question, I'm like, first half was, wasn't all that bad, yada yada. But then I'm looking at how many points we have. I'm looking at these points dropped and where we could be. And then, of course, I start looking ahead, and that's where I start really getting concerned. So now let's look where we are and what's coming ahead. We are currently 13 points back of second. That's 4 games. We are 5 points back of third, like I mentioned, and New England has a game in hand. And if they win that next game, they're actually ahead of us by 8 points. That's, 2, almost 3 games that we would have to make up and win, and they would have to drop. And again, we're already 13 points back of second. So it looks like first and second is really kind of getting away from us. And those drop points did not help us to keep us in contention for top 4. So here we go. We have 16 games to go. 7 home games, 9 away games. We need around 55-ish points to finish 4th. And I'm only talking about 4th here. We need roughly 55 points. That's not exact math. I'm going by what we had last year, what was 4th the year before that, and the year before that. Averages roughly around 55 points. So, as I mentioned, we currently have 25 points. So we need around 30 points to hit that mark. So realistically, Charlotte probably needs to win 7, 8, 9 of the final 16 while also picking up some maybe draws here and there. And we're going to need some other teams to definitely drop some points. So it's alarming to need that many points. That Chicago loss was pretty crucial. The Atlanta draw was bad. The NYCFC loss was bad. Is this doable? Absolutely. We have seen us go on runs before, but we need reinforcements ASAP, or I'm afraid that we're, is playoffs doable? Yes, because half the conference gets in. But if we're talking about top four, yeah, we need about 30 points, and that's going to be tough with these last 16 games. Um, Even if you win all of your home games, that's 21 points, right? 3, 6, 9, 15, 18, yeah, 21 points. We have seven home games. If you win them all, that's only 21 points. So we need to win on the road. Oh, this is like I said, it's giving me heart palpitations. But Maxi's coming. Pep is in really, really good form. I'm hoping we can get a Vargas replacement. I think we're really going to have to hit our stride here to get fourth. But I am actually concerned when I look at this. I felt a lot better before doing this math and looking at the numbers. But hey, we'll do the best we can. We're going to get reinforcements, and why can't we win all these home games? Why can't we get points on the road? That's one thing that we have kind of shown, that we can get points on the road and we can play decent on the road. Like I said, that first half of the Chicago game, man, I was pumped. Even going into halftime 1-1, I was like, you know what? I was like, that goal by Lewandowski, he's a world-class player that can pick out corners. We get a little unlucky with Lewandowski shooting it in between Morrison's legs, and I think Kalina may have been going the opposite direction, and then was a little shielded and reacted a little late. But I'm thinking, I'm like, we're playing well and moving the ball well. So it felt really good. But the second half was more of the same. Subs were late. Again, they didn't make sense. I have some concerns when it comes to that, but my hope is reinforcements are coming, and we just, try to hit this mark of, like I said, around 55. That's not exact, but I think that's what we're going to need, and we're definitely going to have to get some points on the road, and we have to play better at home. We're just dropping too many points at home. But really good question, Paul. I appreciate it. Try not to be depressed by everything I just said. There's definitely hope there, and we've seen this team do some great things. And I'm hoping Maxi just comes in ablazing, and maybe we can fix some things that have reared their head often this season. But we've got to get going. No doubt about it. That's all the listener questions that I'm going to ask tonight. There were some others, but I really do want to wait for Corey and David to get back to, just to get their perspective on things. I do want to end the show on a positive note. I haven't talked about the skills challenge, and I haven't talked about the All-Star game. I went to the skills challenge with Corey. We had an excellent time. Paul, who asked that super depressing question, was there. He's always fun to hang out with. He did not ask me any depressing questions while we were hanging out, but it was great. I know the weather was an issue. There was a delay, but it was it was a lot of fun. I love some of the over the topness of it. I was talking to Corey, and we both agreed we really want more pyro and fireworks and bells and whistles, and just really make it over the top. But Tim Ream did awesome. He won his challenge. It was really cool. His family was on the field. Awesome moment there. And it was just a cool, different atmosphere. It was at Truist Field Knight Stadium. So it was a little different. The weather, like I said, gave us a little bit of issues, but it did clear up, and it was a great night. Pretty good turnout. And it was really cool to see some of the other stars, and they looked like they were having a lot of fun. I often wonder how someone like Thomas Mueller is going to take this all in and be like, what the hell is this? But he looked like he was having fun. Uh, and it was great. And then the All-Star game, I had a blast. Really, really good turnout. I think they announced it was like 35,000, probably a little less than that. Lower bowl seemed to be almost completely full. They didn't open the upper bowl. I'm wondering if maybe they probably could have sold some of those tickets too. But anyway, fun game, lots of goals. Tim Ream, Ashley Westwood, Pep Biel all got minutes. It was really good to see. Dean Smith led us to a victory. And again, just some exposure to the city, to this team. So all good stuff. Yeah, I had a blast. Had a blast at the game. Sat with my buddy Steven and my friend Kevin Hofer. So it was fun. Fun times. And yeah, I just wanted to end the episode on a positive note. Yeah, and thank you guys for tuning in and listening to me ramble by myself, which is always difficult. I do promise Corey and David will be back. I know it's weird that I've done 2 solo episodes in a row, and you're probably like, please God, have them back on the show next week. We will have lots to talk about. We may try to do a show at the end of the week. I'm not really sure, but there is a game Tuesday night. There is a game Friday night. So if we do an episode next week, we'll have at least 2 games to discuss. And then there's another game on that following Tuesday. So a lot going on. And then we have Columbus Saturday. And if we win these League Cup games, we'll keep going. And maybe Maxey gets to play in the 3rd game. Maybe if we keep going, he'll feature in the other one. But for me, again, I would like to see him make his debut against Columbus. And we desperately, like I mentioned in Paul's question, we really need a statement win, and we really need Maxey to get off and running quickly. That's it for me. Thank you for tuning in, and I will talk to you guys later.